Funnily enough, there's another 3 waiting in the fridge. So if we would like to do the pop again, it's possible.
I probably will. I won't turn that down.
This beer sits good on top of my milk.
Hey, that's
Actually, it's good on top of my milk as well.
that's two. That's 2 halves of a Hong Kongie you're about to have there. You just need some orange juice and you're
God,
ready
it
to
sounds
go.
like a bad sexual favour.
A Hong Kongie.
I don't know what it'll be, but I don't want it. I'll watch it though.
Yeah, you would. Oh god, I saw this great Hong Kongie on the weekend.
What episode is this?
13?
No, I just did 13. But 12 kind of got put in the bin because of the Triple G thing. This is 14. But it's not, because it's Aussie fucking crimes. Speaking of crimes, I want to talk about a crime that happened against a man in this room today. Joel, something's really got you so wound tightly. Before we actually jump right in, and this will be the idea of this is to be a complete Aussie crimes podcast, but Joel had something happen today, so we're going to have a bit of a chat about that.
You're listening to Way Off Central.
I was laying on my bed this afternoon after a nice tech day of playing Minecraft and doing nothing. And my brother walks in, he's like, "So, Joel, finished work today, walking back to my cars with a workmate, and we're about to cross this road." And obviously they were crossing somewhere where they weren't meant to, and there was this Audi A3, P plates, and there were 3 women in the car. And they had their indicator on to turn, but they went straight. So they've sort of stepped out in front, and they've been like, "Oh, sorry," and they've both been like, "No, it's our bad." Light turned red anyway, so they end up walking in front of them, and they wind down the window. My brother and his workmates just walking past, and these girls say, "Your brother's a scumbag."
Oh,
Mate, so Joel told me about this before, but first things first, I went, "Mate, do we know who it was?"
No, no clue.
Do we know what Joel could have done?
No.
Not really. Like, whilst he's like Beyonce, no angel. I can't imagine why this has happened.
I'm a nice guy. I'm a pretty cool
are
guy.
we certain it was you that they're talking about? Not
That's what I said.
But at the moment, do you reckon we look like twins?
I said to Joel, I went, "Mate, maybe they thought he was Joel, and they were talking about Thomas as a scumbag."
Well, no. I mean, like Tom was walking.
The
with
other
some,
mate,
some
I
other
said that
guys,
too.
so-
Joel sort of debunked that.
He's got a missus and a kid. Like he's an older guy. There was no way 3 girls in a P plate car would be yelling at this.
Maybe they were talking
Yeah,
about David
Okay.
or Adam.
Not a chance.
So Joel is a scumbag.
I'm pretty sour. It's actually physically annoyed me a bit.
He actually gets to the gym today and he goes, "Mate, I'm in a sour fucking mood." And I went, "Brilliant." He never is too.
So if you're listening to this and
You were one
you're
of those fucking bitches.
said it, stop running your mouth and fucking have a go at me. Tell me what I did.
Right in, have a chat. But, and look, you know what? Here's what I'm going to say. And I'm going to say this on Charles' behalf because I know he'd agree with me here. If they had good reason, he'll issue a formal apology on the podcast.
100%.
But at the same time, I don't care what he did. You guys fucking suck.
You know what the worst part about this is? Like, there are a few things you miss about being in a relationship when you're single, and not knowing what you did wrong is not one of those things you miss.
It's one of those things that you just loathe. Like you're just like, oh, this is frustrating.
I thought I was done with this, honestly, and here I am, Tuesday afternoon, pacing around in circles in my room going, fucking scumbag.
You got dumped. Actually didn't know what you did wrong. And here we are again.
I've got home.
Full fucking circle.
Thomas is playing like a game on the computer on his bed, and I'm just grabbing some clothes to have a quick shower, and he's talking to David through a mic, and I'm just in there talking under my breath, but to him I was like, "It's a fucking scumbag, hey? Fucking scumbag."
Can't believe it. Okay, Australian crimes as promised, but I'm glad we started with that.
Someone definitely made it clear that they wanted
Casey
us.
Taylor.
Casey Taylor.
Casey Taylor, thank you for This has been in the works for a little bit too long, I guess. You probably thought we just fucking threw this idea out the window.
I mean, it's one of the few ideas we've actually had given to us. So
Yeah.
hard
I am a bit crook as well. Well, I've got a blocked nose.
He's crook and he's also in a rage.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely fuming.
what comes to your mind when you think of Australian crime?
Egg boy.
The nation's hero.
Yeah.
Waiting for a mate.
Ned Kelly, if we're going back a bit.
Yeah.
I got a parking fine the other day.
So Josh Harper as well.
I can't believe the lengths you've gone. You must...
Have you tried to fight that at all?
I'm actually a little bit of ashamed of myself in this regard, but
You've just paid for it. haven't
Fucking old puppy, just rolled over.
well, the fact is, I just don't have time to go. So the problem is,
you? Bent over and let the ACT government fuck you up. Yeah.
well, as I said, I'm a little ashamed about this, and thanks, guys. It's really helping me out.
Bend you over and show you the states.
Josh is actually doing this podcast standing up because his ass hurts too much to
He's gonna
sit down from all the fucking the ACT
Mum's
government
currently
stuff.
out in the lounge room blowing up the donut.
This is already our best podcast.
I hate to say it, but it is. You're right.
Yeah, go on.
Okay.
No, so I if I wasn't, an adult working and, actually living life, and I had time to, do whatever during the day as is required by this sort of thing, I would have gone down, gotten all the paperwork signed. See, the problem was I wasn't in my car, so to actually fight it, you have to get a stat dec signed saying that you were driving. Other people have to sign this thing, saying that you were in control of the vehicle. And then also I was going to have to go down and, take photos of the area and all that sort of stuff, emails back and forth. And I figured, look, by the time I end up actually fighting it, there's just going to be too much hassle and I really can't be asked, sending the emails back and forth and whatnot to beat this thing anyway. So, and it's not on my record. Like, it's not a notch against me anyway. So I was like, yeah.
Parking fines don't go against you personally anyway.
So you're obviously in a company car, were you?
Yeah, I was in the company car. But the point is...
Would they have back charge you? That left?
No, I still had to pay it.
You went in, you paid it online or something, presumably.
Yeah, you just go in and pay it online, but they don't penalise it towards your licence or anything like that. But anyway, the point that I'd really like to make about it is they make it so difficult for you to actually, for there to be any due process in terms of you defending yourself. That's how they make quite a bit of the money, because quite often let's be honest, I think parking inspectors,
Scum of the earth.
Imagine just
they're
waking
not
up.
the brightest
waking
of
up.
people.
Yeah, no, but seriously, imagine waking up and going, fuck yeah, another day at just fucking people's day.
No, every cunt hates you. Imagine that. Well, it wouldn't be too much from how I'm waking up now.
Yeah, no,
But at least we do something productive.
Like, look, okay.
At least they know what they're doing wrong.
People hate me, but no scumbag, I guess.
No, but I think the fact is, these people don't do their jobs well because let me explain the situation. I was in a rush for an eye checkup, and so I've gone in, quickly parked in an area. It was a pay parking area, and I've just missed the 2 hour sign that are in the area that I parked. What I've done is I've jumped out, quickly just swiped my card and paid for a full day. So it's not like I've not paid at all. And I was in this 2 hour parking zone for less than 2 hours because the appointment only took, half an hour. I was in and out and done. And there was no evidence of me being there for longer than the specified period. I've called up and asked actually what I've done wrong. And the frustrating lady on the phone, who I can only assume is just
Indian.
in the same... No, like...
You're going to have to cut that.
No, that's fine.
It was easy enough to understand her, but I just couldn't fathom how she was explaining to me. She said, no, you've bought the wrong ticket. I said, well, goddamn, how do I buy the right ticket? Do I just pay for 2 hours? Is that what's going on? Have I paid you too much? Is the government not wanting this extra money that I've given them? And it infuriated me. And I was like, look, bugger, I'm going to be dealing with retards who don't know actually how to handle dealing with people, it's going to be too much. So I just buggered it and said, whatever, I'll pay the fine. But what I really
You know
like to
Joe
point
Lycett,
out,
are you?
oh, no, but see, Joe Lycett isn't quite in my position. Joe Lycett's got a little more time on his hands, I think.
Who's this guy?
Oh, so Joe Lycett's this British, I guess, comedian, I guess. He's a comedian.
Yeah,
I've seen
he's
him
a
do
comedian.
stand-up and stuff, but, like, he goes on Jimmy Carr's show called 8 out of 10 Cats and does just these bits about how he's, like, fought parking fines.
Oh, it's
Like, they're fucking hilarious. Anyone who's got the time, go check him out.
Yeah, and like if I had a bit more time and a bit more patience, I would happily have done that sort of thing. But I just, yeah, I was running out of time to actually fight the thing, so I was just like, look, bugger it. I'll just pay it that way. It won't go any further than that. And the way I figure it is, I've probably committed enough small crimes and whatnot that I should probably just pay a little extra.
We'll get to at the end of this podcast. We'll say what the worst like crimes we've ever committed are. But let's actually get on to
I'm
some
not going to do that.
Australian crime.
Yeah, let's get right into it.
Just quickly before anything else, after all that, Josh, and your explanation about while you fair enough didn't fight it back, I got to say you're still a little fucking bitch. Absolutely.
Yeah, saw that coming.
Just
Hey, I'm not like you. I don't get 3 parking tickets and with no penalty amount.
okay. We'll start with a light-hearted sort of thing about Australian things that are crimes or illegal activity in Australia, but it's no longer policed because it's just wacky. I got these off, some of them might not be legit, but 11 are off like a genuine Australian criminal lawyers website. Like 11 are an actual thing. So I know for a start, it is illegal in Australia to walk your goat on a Sunday.
Livid I am.
Outrageous.
You know how good our Sundays are here? It's bullshit. Perfect goat walking table.
I want a fucking plebiscite into this. I want this fixed up. No, it's one of those... Again, a lot of these are laws that happened so long ago, but they've had no reason to fix them, and they no longer get policed. This one's fair enough, and Josh, I want you to comment on this. It is illegal to touch electric wires that cause death.
No, I don't agree with that.
It makes sense, but doesn't it? Well, one, you have to hold 2, don't you, Josh? You can't just hold one. Like, let's say you're looking at big power cables, you'd have to hold 2 separate ones. You couldn't just hold one and die.
So this
No,
is
you
like
can
a
hold- you
live
can
end
hold just
of
one.
a cable. This is
Oh, well, it just says it's illegal to touch
by
electric wires that cause death, and I just think, well, I guess if it's an accident, that seems a bit harsh, but...
fine his family.
Yeah, well.
I think fortune telling is actually illegal.
Oh, here's a question for you. If I'm in a car accident or something like that, and it's my fault and I die, but I've taken out like, a street light or like a power pole or something, does the bill go to the family?
Bill would go to the insurance.
What if I didn't have insurance?
No, you have to have third-party property, I thought.
What if Harper is a homeless man who was just stolen this?
I don't know, okay? I'm not a fucking judge. I'm just saying some fun facts here. Okay, this one I did know. This is an actual thing. So it's illegal to leave keys inside your car unattended.
Didn't know that.
How weird is that?
Even on private property?
Oh, no. They couldn't pin you for that. But, like, let's say your car got stolen, but you left the keys in your car, you can get fined.
Yeah, right.
Amazing.
That is the thing.
Do you reckon
And I've
they'd
heard of
fine
this
you
happening.
damages that said car?
No, I reckon they'd fine you, but then also charge the other person for theft.
But what if they like...
Because what you did is
joyride
like a...
and then just fucking ditch the car. They didn't know who it was, but they have camera footage of this car just like running over and...
It's probably just like a
I don't know. I don't think they could judge... I think you'd get fined anyway, but you'd maybe get reimbursement for having your car stolen.
Yeah, right.
I heard... Now, I don't know if this one's legit, but I definitely have heard of this before, and I read it online. It is illegal to possess 50 kilograms of potatoes in Western Australia. Why is my main question. Like,
Too
at
much
what
power.
point, if that is a thing, at what point in time was it like, mate, you got too many potatoes on you? You fucking idiot.
It's just about the child support. You can't have 50 spuds living under one roof. It's just not right. We may have to cut that one.
That's funny as fuck. Gold Coast bikinis cannot exceed more than 6 inches of material. Like, as in, they have to be less than 6 inches of material. And that's an actual
6 square
thing.
inches?
6 square inches, yeah.
Actually, no, I can see that. I mean, obviously it's an odd law, but I can see that quite a few bikinis would be
Wait,
less
can't
than 6 inches.
be less or can't be more than that?
Can't be more than that.
Why?
I don't know, but
One
kudos
piece.
to them.
Cracking law.
If you... Okay, this was my favourite one, personally. Because you've heard of public indecency.
Yeah.
If a urinal is not readily available, it is legal to urinate on the rear left tyre of your vehicle.
Rear left.
Rear left. Oddly specific, but it kind of makes sense. If you're pulled over on the side of the road...
You'd have your back to the...
Well, you'd have your car covering...
Well, yeah, your car would be covering...
But yeah,
from
just
the
in
front,
general
and you'd have your
life,
back
like
to
that's the legal one. It's also just some quick ones. So only licensed electricians are allowed to change a light bulb.
No, that makes sense. It is technically like an electrical termination.
It's illegal to dress as Batman and Robin. Actual thing. It is illegal to wear hot pink pants after 12 p.m. on a Sunday. That is an actual thing.
Can you tell us why?
According to Victorian law, you cannot wear hot pink pants Monday to Saturday. You can wear hot pink pants Monday to Saturday, sorry. You cannot on Sunday. I can't tell you why behind any
I know
of these
why.
things.
Too many people walking their goats on Sundays with
Hot pink pants. At Brighton Beach, you have to wear a neck-to-knee swimsuit.
Where is Brighton Beach?
I think it's in Victoria.
Oh, really? That's a bit weird.
Sounds like something...
But that's not too bad, but when you think about wearing a bodysuit sort of thing, like a swimsuit,
Yeah.
full swimsuit.
Oh, it wouldn't be bad. It's just an odd thing. See, I can understand that sort of law being somewhere in like North Queensland where like there's box jellyfish and that sort of thing. But
Yeah,
like,
see, that's
no,
funny
this
because
stuff-
I just thought of it because of the cold.
I can imagine it in UK.
Yeah.
Like just
Yeah,
like one-piece
100%.
swimmers that are turtlenecks as well. Cause
Cabs in Queensland. Now, I don't know about this one because my source was not super reliable, but you know what? If it's worth talking about anyway, cabs in Queensland should have a bale of hay in the boot.
That's odd.
That's what I thought.
it's very odd.
All right, and look, that's all I've got for illegal activity that's odd as fuck. But I thought that was a nice, fun little fact for our listeners, and also just a nice, light-hearted way to tick us off. Gentlemen, we've gone away. We've done some research. Time to get into some hard Aussie criminals.
Let's all go to court. Let's go make some law now. Yeah, some law.
Alrighty, guys. So the way I went about this, I sort of figured that you two would look at a few of the more prominent,
Big names.
The Harpers.
yeah, big names. Yeah, some of the more well-known characters in Australian crime. Figured I would sort of go a little bit the other way, and so the first thing I thought of was the Port Arthur massacre.
How is he not a big name criminal?
I don't
What?
know his name.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I don't know a lot of
I
things.
can't remember his name, but if you said it, probably know it.
But no, like what I mean is, like, I figured you guys were going to go for, well, who you did.
Massive thing to talk about, and good topic. Absolutely good topic.
Now, what was Port Arthur? Harper?
Well, so Port Arthur itself is essentially a penal colony, or the
Penal.
it was
Is it? Wow, I just thought it was a spot in Tassie.
yeah, no, Port Arthur itself is a prison complex that is no longer still used. It's now like a museum and
They emptied it out, didn't they?
yeah. Correct.
Fuck.
Killed
Nah.
everyone in Taz.
Well, no, see, the fact is that quite a few of the people who were
It's
killed
all
in the
favour.
Port Arthur massacre weren't actually like at Port Arthur. There was I think half of them in like the cafe at the front, and then others were just around the area. So 35 killed and 18 wounded. It was the guy who did it was Martin Bryant,
Yeah.
still alive.
There was something about him in the news recently.
Yeah, oddly enough, his mother still believes he's innocent.
I mean,
Idiot. We've got him on film.
They
That's not
have-
my boy.
they have got him on film.
Mother/wife.
And I know that held the record for a while, didn't it? As the largest massacre on Earth.
It's still the largest in Australia, but
Yeah. It did for a while on Earth, but I think in recent times it's been beaten.
but yeah, no. So this guy, Martin Bryant, he's a guy with Asperger's. He was sentenced to 35 life terms. So
Whoa, that's decent.
he
A
will.
lifetime in Australia being 25 years?
Oh, I believe so. 20 to 25. Anyway, 35 of them. He's not getting out till he's dead.
Yep. As he should.
20 dead
And
in
some.
the first 2 minutes.
God, what a record, eh?
Okay,
high
look, okay,
score.
so here's what I'm going to say.
Credit when you...
Here's what I'll
That's
say.
10 a minute.
That's 10 a minute, which means one every 6 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, dead. Okay, I don't want to...
My goodness.
Okay, here's what I'm going to say.
Champion.
Awful thing that happened, and
Time's
the
up,
way
you're
I've
dead.
said, the way I've said to boys, their hearts and thoughts and prayers and whatnot go out to the families of the victims. But 1 was 20 something years ago. 2, what a
28th of
fucking
April.
shot on him. No, you know what? He must have had like, you know when you're playing Red Dead Redemption, the dead eye.
100%.
Things going slow mo, and you can tell he had Asperger's. He's like fucking Wanted.
Well, he did
The
set
movie
fire
Wanted.
to a few places. So
Oh, is that
also-
how he bumped it up?
That also would have, yeah.
Tactical, I like it.
Tactical, yeah. Fuck.
Spread this crime scene, make you look like a rookie.
Had some perk. In his perks section, he'd be a COD character.
Molotov, LB.
Exceptional with semi-automatic rifles.
Scavenger, sleight of hand.
Best
Oh,
skill.
oh fuck, we're gonna get in so
Ultimate
much
skill
trouble.
is trench coat.
Funnily enough, so obviously a little bit of a weird kid. He wasn't. He wasn't quite all there, and you know he was a bit of an outcast in society. But
Sorry, outcast.
oddly enough, became wealthy as a result of him becoming friends with I believe a lottery hostess of some description who owned quite a large business. Either way, this woman was
So wait,
fairly
hold up. So
wealthy.
some bitch that called out the lottery numbers fell in love with
I
him.
don't think she called out the lottery numbers, but she owned.
A lottery.
Right,
Yeah, a
because you
lottery.
know what that reminds me of? Harley Quinn and the Joker.
So wait, how old
Yeah.
was this kid?
I believe it was
In 20s, wasn't
yeah, only in his 20s.
Not a bad effort. Why would he go and do that? I don't know.
Well,
'Cause
yeah,
he
like that's
got-
the thing. He really hasn't spoken to anyone about it. And there's a guy, an interviewer who has spoken to him quite a bit, and still like he.
No, it's fuck all.
Do you reckon they
Yeah.
go about it wrong? Like if we went there and go, dude, effort.
Yeah, they're like, bro, bro, you have
fan.
no idea, hey.
Big
like,
fan.
Like that, yeah, that's the thing. Because, like, obviously, if you really looked into the magnitude of what he did, you'd probably become quite angry with him. Then you're confronted with a person who's done such atrocities, and then you see them and you go, "You fucking piece of shit." But if you were able to contain that and just put on like a facade, and meet them and go, "Bro, fuck, you got a shot on you." Hey, like
You
the
gotta-
kid can aim, and yeah, like Joel's right. Maybe if you're positive and friendly with them, I don't know their tactics, but.
I
Makes
reckon you got to
sense.
go the other way. You got to walk in there, like you top shit, throw down like a fake news article with like your
Bad
page
copy.
on the front cover, and you've outdone him.
True.
You've got like 70. And you're like, mate, pick up your game. What do you got? You think you're top shit?
Bitch effort.
How'd you get in? I just killed every cunt in this fucking cop shop. Like
You think I can't get into your peasant jail, mate? You fucking rookie.
70 dead. That was last week, mate. I just upped it another 10.
Those are rookie numbers. You got to bump those numbers up.
I reckon that'll work.
So, what did Port Arthur lead to in Australia, Josh?
Yeah, so Port Arthur, or the Port Arthur massacre, led to pretty strict gun control laws in Australia. So the banning of any automatic and semi-automatic weaponry.
Well done, Aussie. And you know what I like? Everyone just went, yeah, that seems fair enough. Like, because obviously you have to get a law like that passed. Like, as a PM, your power's still limited. You can't just go, we are now banning this. It's not like a president or even a dictator or something. You can't just go, oi, we're banning guns.
Prime Minister
we're
doesn't
banning
even
this.
have the power to offer up martial law.
It was
Like,
pretty
Yeah.
close though, wasn't it? The voting for the guns or something. I thought it was like 56 vote, like for
I
the
think
gun
it
control
was
laws.
actually, yeah,
It would have
reasonably
probably been
tight
close,
vote.
but the fact that we got to 50-50, like over
Yeah.
50% is outstanding in what was... Oh, actually, I tell a lie, though, because in the... like 10 years before the Port Arthur massacre, I believe there were 8 massacres. So there was probably a little bit of lead up to this.
Yeah.
Lead up to this happening.
Yeah, I was going to say it's
massacres being, I believe, more than 4.
Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds
I was
right.
going to say it's a smaller, like a small amount of people Port Arthur would have affected for 50% of Australia to say no, take all the guns off. But obviously there would have been massacres before. So
Yeah, and anything else, Josh, on that one?
Not really on that one. That's sort of all I had. Pretty interesting stuff. I didn't necessarily. Oh, actually, I learned a few little bits and pieces from that little bit of research, which was good. Thought that was a little bit enlightening.
And that's what we came like
Yeah,
our ambitions behind
that's
this,
why
wasn't
we
it?
came. Yeah. I mean, I've got another one, but if one of you guys want to take the chair for a minute.
I was enjoying Josh's.
yeah,
Keep going, keep rolling.
All right, so this one's really weird, and this one I had never heard of until I started looking into it. And honestly, I can't for the life of me remember why I thought this would be a reasonable Google search. But I looked up Australian cannibals
Nice.
That's
I like
a
that.
good fucking
because like
For what
I
we're
mean,
doing.
Sometimes Pornhub gets a bit old.
bit dry.
oof. So I looked up Australian cannibals, and the first name that popped up for me was Catherine Knight. So
John's
apparently-
auntie.
It's going to leave this here,
I'm
Cut
ahead
this,
out. I'm ahead out. The amount
Joel,
of meme references
You
that
seen
you throw
your,
around.
brother recently?
Have I seen him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Actually, he does look like he's been feeding in a good paddock.
No, all right. So
That one was a little bit close to home, Joel.
according to the New South Wales actual
Database. Or...
court, the legal database, on the 29th of February 2000, this lady Catherine Knight not only killed but also skinned her husband or her de facto husband, and then later was found with parts of the husband cooked and served on plates intending to feed them to children. To
Holy
their children.
fuck.
That's
What do you get from cannibalism? It's this essentially
cow
mad cow,
disease, yeah.
but like we call it something different because it's humans. And something to do with the nerves and it sends you mental.
Yeah, true.
I think it like
The real name for mad cow disease, whatever that is.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Mad coweth disease.
I think if you do it rarely enough,
doesn't affect
it doesn't affect you. Because there's a tribe in Papua New Guinea, there's one left, and they do it when they go into, like, let's say they defeat a rival tribe. It might happen once a year, if that, as like a spiritual thing. But they're like the last cannibals, sort of, as a group left on Earth. But
funnily enough, the Japanese did it on their way back north when they'd been pushed back from Port Moresby in World War II.
at each other.
really,
They ate their dead because they'd run out of supplies, and because of their Bushido code and whatnot, they wouldn't surrender, so they had to pull back. And
when you think about it, though, like, does it really?
Chicken.
It never really made sense to me, the idea of sort of mad cow disease. Like it, and until I really thought about it, I was like, it's just meat, isn't it? Like, it would fuck you up now that you really think about it. But when you really think about flesh as a thing,
Yeah.
you don't think it would drive you mental, would you? But until I heard about it.
I think it's to do with a different production rate and that sort of thing of particular chemicals. I think it actually really develops onset Parkinson's, and that's why you get the shaking.
Yeah, wow.
But I mean, that's somewhat just speculation. But anyway.
So what else did you get on this?
So yeah,
woman?
this lady who has a little bit of a history of, you know, violence and just being a pain in general. So yeah, she's worked in an abattoir, which
Fancy name for a slaughterhouse. I don't know who I was saying that to, but I was saying that. I think I was
That's
saying
not
that
French
today.
for post office.
yeah, no. So the coroner report was actually pretty in depth. I read quite.
Yeah, I was
quite a
about
bit of
to.
it.
I was about to ask about that. Were they skinned post mortem or?
Well, so he was, he was worried about her to begin with, and like people that he'd worked with and stuff were telling him not to go home because they thought something was going to happen. And so the kids had been sent to the grandparents or whatever, and she'd come home one night. They've had sex. She's then stabbed him 37 times, and then
Holy fuck!
over the course of the stabbing, I don't know, he's made his way to the front door, but he's been dragged back inside or something like that. He's been moved around the house a bit because there's bloodstains throughout the house. And yeah, the coroner's report was saying that he'd been skinned in such a professional way that they were actually able to like re-sew the skin back onto the cadaver
Holy!
and work out like where stab wounds and stuff occurred. And
That's incredible.
Yeah, so he was also decapitated, the head boiled in a pot, and parts of the meat like thrown out on the back in the back lawn and whatnot, and then like actually parts of him plated up with like potatoes and gravy and veg and whatnot, with like name places for the kids at the table, which yeah I found absolutely ludicrous.
Dude, that's horrifying. Like interesting
It's
as
scary.
fuck that it's happened.
Straight
But
out of a horror movie.
Absolutely horrifying. You know what amazes me about multiple like stabbings is, you ever like hit your pillow really hard in anger? Imagine doing that 37 times. Fuck, you'd get tired, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it seems a little excessive, doesn't it?
seems like a lot. That's out of rage, surely.
Although
Once you get past maybe twice or a few times, surely that's rage.
our perception could be a little distorted based on like film and media and whatnot. But yeah, like 37, that's an extent. Like, you know, how long does it take to stab someone?
So what ended up happening to her? Do you know? Like assumed jail for life, but
Yes. Yep, she was sentenced on this is the odd bit, 28th of June 2006. Took 6 years to actually get her convicted.
but that happens, right?
Yeah, it does, and that's just a failure on Australia's law and order system. But
Sort of surprised you that she didn't do anything again then.
yeah, well, I think she
That we
was
know
in
of.
police
I assume she
custody
wasn't
to some
free,
degree. Yeah.
Fuck, that's
But
wild.
That's wild.
yeah, pretty crazy, right? Australian crime.
If it was cold and dark in here, I'd be shaking.
Just a quick fact, I don't know if this is still the case, but actually I can almost guarantee it's not still the case, but at one point in time, I'm pretty sure South Australia or Adelaide has the highest amount of murders / assaults per capita in the world.
Yeah,
Don't go
right.
to South Australia, kid.
Oh, you know why I was thinking about that? Because
About cannibalism or?
yeah. Because when I was thinking about Port Arthur made me think of Tasmania, and there's that movie Van Diemen's Land, where some convicts escape, and they end up resorting to cannibalism.
It is a privilege to watch your mind at work.
That's where it came from. My goodness.
Okay. That was section 1. Joel?
Yeah, right. I don't actually have much. I don't know how much I can say. I researched a little bit about Ivan Milat.
Australia's favourite uncle.
Yeah.
Second. I think Uncle Chop Chop's up there.
It'd probably be the favourite, but Alden Light's a close second.
Yeah.
So, well, this is all off by memory. I don't have any notes, but he was born in 1944, which is, he's a lot older than I thought he was.
Really? That old?
That old.
That's really odd. That
Wow.
makes him like 80.
His family is
although
like,
he's in hospital at the moment, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Family is like Yugoslav. Dad is anyway.
Ivan.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a lot of
Milat.
names. It's like 2 middle names, and it's pretty decent, but I can't remember them. Anyways, one of 14 children.
Holy fuck.
There are a lot of Milats.
Parents are rabbits.
So apparently they just kept to themselves, but all the Milat boys had a name for themselves with the coppers, growing up in New South Wales, and they'd been in and out of prison, or like custody when they were younger, gone to juvie a few times, especially Ivan, like theft, robbery, once breaking and entering. Got trialed for raping 2 women, but got released because they didn't have sufficient evidence.
If I'm a betting man, I'm going to say he probably did that shit. Based on what we know
More
now.
than likely.
And what happened? I don't know the dates, but he's killed. He's had 7 victims, all backpackers, and like fucking pretty wild. There was one guy who got away from him actually. His name was something Onion. I know his last name was Onion.
Pretty
Mr.
easy
Onion,
to
yeah.
remember.
Straight from the UK. He was what's it called when you do that? Hitchhiking. And Ivan's picked him up, used a fake name Bill, and Mr. Onion was in Australia looking for work, and he's talking to him, asking a lot of questions, a lot of personal questions, and apparently at one stage he's talked to Mr. Onion, going like, saying that fuck, it's just not right, like all these people coming here from overseas and taking our jobs and shit. And he pulls over and he's like, I'm just gonna look for some cassettes under my seat, and Mr. Onion looks down the centre console, and sure enough, there are cassettes. So he's like, fuck, something's up here. And he got out of the car just because he felt uneasy. He got out of the car just to see what he'd do. And he's like, said, "Oi, what are you doing, mate? Like, get back in the car." So he like played his game and like sat back down, put his seatbelt on. He got back in the car and he said, "Just gonna have another look, mate." And then he got out, left his bag with his passport and everything in the car, started running. Apparently Ivan's got a gun out, starts shooting at him and shit, and he's tried to hail down this one car that sort of slowed down and just drove off again. And then this other car came, and Mr. Onion has thought to himself, fuck, it's a better idea. I'm just going to jump out in front of this car. If it hits me and I die, that's it, or I'm just going to get shot by this dude. But this old lady like slows down and picks him up, and they drive to like the nearest cop shop. And I listened to a podcast, and this woman, she's sort of built up a little bit of a case that for Ivan if he's not guilty. And she said, like, without even showing pictures of Ivan Milat to Mr. Onion, they've told him it was him, apparently. Like in police reports, they've...
Yeah, okay, so...
Because
Everyone's
everyone's
sort
like,
of shaped his opinion.
yeah. Like, they knew they had a moustache and stuff, but apparently in pictures of Ivan back then on that date, like, he didn't have that same moustache. Like, he's had that moustache with the handlebars, I'm guessing, but didn't at that time, apparently. But he's definitely done it. And, yeah, he got away, and now he's in... I don't think he's anymore. Since May this year, 2019, he got diagnosed with esophagus cancer. And I was reading up a bit about him, and in prison they kept him in solitary confinement because apparently he just loved inflicting pain on other people. And when he couldn't do that, when they put him in solitary confinement, he just started doing it to himself. Like, he got, I think he made a knife out of a spoon, or had something sharp, and he proceeded to cut off his fingertip.
Jesus.
He got to the bone and couldn't get through it, so he's like made a serrated dagger or something. He cut through his bone, and like, yeah, fuck, just like wild.
Wow, dude, is he at Goulburn Supermax?
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
Because he picked them up. Didn't he pick them up between Canberra and Sydney? Wasn't that the bit of highway he picked them up from?
Yeah. And dumped in Barangaroo Forest or some shit like that.
Yeah.
One of you guys would know the name.
Don't know why.
Know the name if I had it in front of me and read it, but
Yeah, Blanglo State Forest or something like that.
Because I remember growing up and he had a nephew that was really proud to be his nephew.
yeah, he wrote a book about him or something, like the Milat Files or something.
That was the kid who took his 2 mates into the forest and did the same thing, yeah?
Yeah, fucking...
I don't know if he wrote the book on him, but a nephew,
Oh, yeah.
other nephew did. But yeah, it's fucking... Like, and he's...
nuts.
The last shirt that this British backpacker was wearing, they found... Like, he has a picture of Ivan's wife at the time in that same shirt. And this is what I thought was funny. I did a bit of research. And when he found... So when he got acquitted of the rape charges, he became a trucker. And he's, like, fancied this girl who was 16 at the time and also pregnant with his cousin's baby.
Jeez.
And ended up marrying her. I thought that was hilarious.
Fuck. So, I mean, kid was still sort of his relative. Like,
I guess you can raise it as your own. Yeah.
yeah, that's fucking wild. I didn't know a bit of that. That was good info.
And police do think there are a lot more like murders and things that he
Than
was.
just those ones,
Yeah.
but they're the only ones they could pin him to.
Yeah. And they were saying like near the bury sites that bodies were never buried to never be found. Just buried and covered up enough at first glance you'd never see them.
Yeah, okay.
And there were cigarette butts all around the dead bodies, but Ivan like claims that he's never smoked in his life, and which is a bit weird now. I don't know what causes esophagus cancer, but I feel like smoking might be a
It
big
would
cause
fucking
of it.
help, wouldn't it? It would definitely help. I had something for this. I heard this and I didn't know if I bought it or not, but someone we know, I cannot remember who, was saying that they knew someone who knew someone who worked at Goldman Supermax, and people could only spend like a certain amount of time guarding him because he just sent them insane. I
Yeah.
can't imagine that. I can't imagine anyone being able to talk to me enough that it would drive him mental.
Yeah,
but-
see that's the thing. On one of these podcasts I listened to by Australian true crime podcast, they were saying like the officers that work in there, they don't like to call themselves like prison guards. They're like correctional officers. They don't like the term, and they're saying like some of these guys are rapists and like child molesters and stuff, and like it makes their blood boil. And there was this one time, I think he gave him some food that was shit. Not Ivan Milat, but a prisoner. And I think the prisoner muttered something like, "Oh, I don't deserve this." And the guard turned around and said, "Neither did like the 3-year-old girl that you killed," and like bashed the fuck out of him. And it was like choking him to death. Then had to stop, and then just like walk off and like just stop himself.
That's a hard question, eh?
Yeah, and it's hard too because often, so there's a number of prisons throughout Australia, and it's interesting that Ivan probably got put in where he was, like solitary confinement. Yes, because of the pain he liked inflicting on others, but potentially a nature of that was the fact that he did rape, and people get placed into solitary confinement or sort of protected custody because of the nature of their crimes. Because, you know, like I guess it's weird. It's a weird thing to fathom that people that murder hate people that rape and hurt little kids and stuff, but it does sort of make sense. It's an honour among thieves thing, absolutely.
Yeah.
So he's got 7 life charges.
Yeah. Yep.
Not quite fucking 35, but
I did learn, actually, reading on these odd Australian laws, that a life sentence in Australia cannot be more than 25 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty sure that's how it goes.
You
You got to think with Ivan though, like you were saying, there's only 7 confirmed, but you know how many foreign backpackers were over here, you know, without necessarily paperwork or someone to look for them or question their disappearance. You know, who may have been killed and just no one ever thought to look.
yeah. So one of the backpackers was a girl. Well, there were more than one backpackers, and more than one of them was a girl. But she came over here by herself, and apparently, to her parents, like she always kept in contact. So when she didn't like contact them after 3 days, they flew to Australia and like started looking for her.
Yeah, right.
Apparently, she found a girl that they clicked together, and they decided to backpack together, and they were found buried together, and it's pretty wild. And I think like some cross country runners or something found their bodies, stumbled across them.
There's
that
definitely a
sounds right.
show about Ivan on 7. Like, based on his...
Yeah. There is Wolf Creek, which was like 2007 or something. I watched the first 10 minutes of that when I was about 8, and that was the first time I've ever been truly scared in a movie. I don't know, it was just dark.
Yeah, right.
There was this one news story a little while back. I can't quite remember the details, but essentially there's this one guy. I think he may have killed 1 or 2 people or whatever. Like he was wanted. Police were after him, and somehow he's escaped to the wilderness. He's managed to escape multiple times into the wilderness, and like he's been living out in the bush for quite a while. And you know, there's been such a build up in getting this guy, and you know, he's done so many wrong things. He's killed people. He's shot people. He's been like stealing stuff from people's farms as he's gone along. And I can remember like the final footage that they have. Like at this point, they've gotten the military in because they're trying to track him down so hard, and they've worked out an area that he's definitely in. And I can clearly remember the footage of like there's essentially army personnel moving through the bush, and they finally sort of like see him and catch up with him. And one of these guys just like comes in out of nowhere and just tackles the shit out of the guy. And I couldn't help but think like, this guy who's tackled him, he is the man. Like, there is just nothing that this guy
single-handedly has taken down this criminal.
Yeah, and he just comes in.
No outside help. He's just done it.
Like, just takes him down, and I thought, fuck, this guy knows what's up. This guy is. I'd like to meet him.
Good thing you. And that's probably what inspired you to join the military for 2 weeks.
Probably a little bit.
Unreal.
All right, let's kick off to section 3.
Yeah, righto. So I chose to do a bit of research, a lot of stuff that I sort of already knew, just because it's a bit of not an interest of mine, but just like common knowledge type stuff. But Mark Brandon Reed, also known as Chopper. So I can't remember the year he was born, but he's dead now. I remember when he died. He died in 2013 from cancer of some description.
From ligma.
And I remember at the time, like, I think he needed a transplant, potentially a kidney, and he went, nah. Like, he just turned it down and said, give it to someone who deserves it a bit more, which I thought was a
pretty fucking heroic.
Decent thing to do. So he was apparently bullied a lot at school, and said he lost. Like, he said personally he'd been on the losing end of like hundreds of fights by the time he was in his teens. And his dad was a former veteran, and his mum didn't sound like a nice lady from what I've read online. So she'd get his dad to beat him, and he was also molested by, I don't think his dad, but he was then made a custody, like, was given custody over to the state of Victoria, and then he went to mental institutions and underwent like electroshock therapy and stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah. Which actually I think I'd done some research on, and I don't actually know if electroshock therapy is like a painful thing. I think they just stimulate bits of the brain. I don't know if it's the full kit
No,
and caboodle.
it wouldn't be enough to necessarily hurt, but it's still...
It's frowned upon. Definitely.
Like, if I get a shock at work, even if it's only the small sort of like little thing, it shakes you. And that's an accidental thing. That's not something, and it happens once every now and again. That's not something that's happening on repetition.
He people seem to affiliate him with being a bikie, but I don't actually think he ever rode a bike. Like, if he did, he wasn't a bikie. He was sort of a gang member. So by I think late teens, he sort of became the head of a gang called the Surrey Road Gang, and ended up being like a sick fighter, and he'd kidnap and torture criminals in like a almost Dexter-like fashion, and he used like bolt cutters and blow torches and shit to torture them. And
yeah,
then,
right, so sort of like vigilante justice.
Almost, yeah. But then if they
Punisher.
wanted to like go free, they could just pay him.
Yeah. Okay.
So everyone's got their price, right?
Like shit, Frank Castle.
Yeah. So between the ages of 20 and 38, he only spent 13 months outside of prison.
Yeah. Right.
So like he spent a lot of time in prison, and most of it, or a good chunk of it, was in Victoria. This part of the main prison down there called H Division. And he ran sort of a gang in prison, and he was never actually convicted of murder. But I remember on his deathbed, he I remember watching his confession with 60 Minutes, and he admitted to 4. I remember him saying one, like the interviewer was like, "Oh, why'd you kill him?" And he just went, "Because he was an absolute turd." Yeah, right. There was one dude who was a pedophile. I don't think he ever hurt people that weren't criminals. And I say that based on seeing him in Sydney Airport once. I was going down the escalator, he was going up. But he cut his ears off. He's very famous for this. And it was because he, like, fucked someone up real bad H division and wanted to get out. So he had someone else cut his ears off, and that way he like went into the medical ward and whatnot.
Yeah, okay, that's a bit intense.
But he later then in his life said that he did it to win a bet. So I don't know. Like I believe the former, but
when you're dealing with that sort of person, like everything they do can, anything
yeah,
erratic
like
that they do,
he
it's
was
sort of like,
he was wild. Hey, he claimed to be semi-illiterate. I remember watching an interview with him, and he claimed to be semi-illiterate, but he was like a best-selling author, and later became a comedian. He's written a ton of books out of jail, and there was a really famous film in the year 2000 called Chopper, which sort of made Eric Bana's career. Who's gone on to have a long, successful career. Played the Hulk. Played
He fucked it after the Hulk, didn't he?
oh, he played that doctor thing in that Netflix series about another real crime.
True.
Oh, and by the end, he lived in Tassie on a farm and then worked in Melbourne. But there was one thing that really stuck with me. In court, he pulled off a sawn-off shotgun and held it against the judge's throat.
Jesus.
That's wild. Didn't shoot, but managed to get under his coat a gun into court. And then just like, whilst on the stand, stood right up and went...
Reminds me of the Dave Chappelle joke with the duck shot and the buck shot.
But yeah, he was absolutely wild.
God, what a hero.
Just a real big, like, it's really, I find him interesting because he was such an infamous criminal, known for shooting, stabbing, doing terrible things to people, but almost in like not a Ned Kelly type way, but in some sort of way still remembered fondly, maybe because of his writing or the fact that he was a comedian and, this and that, and he never really hurt people that you'd consider as generally innocent, but interesting character.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I wonder if we ask, like, everyday Australians now, like, what do you think of him? Do you reckon they'll be like, hate him, disgusting? What do you reckon about fucking pretty badass?
I reckon it would depend on where you went to, but we should do that.
We definitely should.
But write it down.
Would they think of, like, actual Chopper Reed? Or would they think of...
the fake comedian?
There's another fake comedian, and Chopper also became an actual comedian.
Yeah.
How are you?
Yeah, the fuck are you?
Yeah.
I didn't know, like, the real Chopper became a comedian.
Yeah, I didn't realise that either.
Instantly, I just thought of that dude who was quite obviously impersonating Chopper. I was like,
Yeah,
fuck,
I think
that's not Chopper, is it?
I think his name was Daniel something that way. But...
I wonder what Chopper actually thought about him.
I could only imagine he did it with his consent.
Yeah.
Because...
Well, you wouldn't want to, would you?
Yeah, like, that's it. I remember some bloke on Twitter called his name the real Chopper Reed, and then Chopper put out, like, this thing on YouTube going, think you're the real Chopper fucking Reed, mate? Come have a chat. Come on down to Tassie. I was like, holy fuck. The movie Chopper, great. 7 to the series, fucking awful.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I find most things that Seven do pretty awful.
Fucking awful.
I assume he was in one or more episodes of Underbelly.
Yes, he does feature on Underbelly a little bit.
It's probably one of the best things that's come out of Australia, Underbelly.
Underbelly was good.
Fucking
Yeah.
shits on Neighbours, doesn't it? Neighbours is where actors either spend their whole life or
begin a long, prosperous career.
yeah.
Yeah, I've got to tell you,
for example.
Al Stewart's
Hemsworth.
doing pretty well for himself.
Liam's Hemsworth.
I mean,
Not the other
someone's
Hemsworth
about.
brother.
I mean, Liam Hemsworth's about to just traded up, so Miley might take half his shit. But
Yeah, well, that's why you sign prenups, kids.
we want prenup, yeah. Guys, I think that's been a very successful podcast.
This is,
Yeah.
I say this wholeheartedly and with my ego down the gutter today. This has been our best podcast.
And I say it knowing, like, I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you've learnt a bit. We might not get as good a reaction because there were less jokes in it. It was a bit more informative, but I really enjoyed it. We learnt a bit. We hope other people did too.
Yeah, I thought this was good.
This has been episode 14. Hope you enjoyed it.
Tune in next time. Make sure you check us out.
Like and subscribe. Sorry. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends about us. Keep listening if you have been. Let us know what you think.
Tell us what you want to hear.
And don't let parking inspectors fuck you up the ass.
And tell us what your favourite pie is as well.
Oh yeah, keep the pie comments coming in.
Fucking, they are coming in.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fuck, they were rolling in for that bit. Alright. Thanks, guys.
Says.
Live Central.
That was a Titancast episode.